lovelies, and welcome to the spiritual world of RavelFey. Today is Witchy Lesson Tuesday! Yay! Every Tuesday, starting from now, until I decide or deem otherwise, we are going to be doing witchy lessons. So, pack up, relax, grab your paper, grab your pen. We're going to school. Or a little bit more entertaining than regular school. And I hope by the end of it, you'll have at least learned a little something and hopefully grab some really good ideas for your own spiritual practices. Today, the witchy lesson is going to be about sacred space. You hear me quite often within my videos to make sure to put up sacred space or spiritual space. Make sure you're protected. Make sure those things are up. And for some of you, you're probably going, well, what's that? I have no idea what that is. Today's lesson is going to tell you what it is and how fun and exciting it can be in finding the way that you want to create your own sacred space. There's lots of examples out there. I've got a couple, but they are nowhere near however many examples there are out there. So the fun part's going to be deciding for you, what do you want to do? How do you want to do it? Well, let's kind of get into a little bit of the history of sacred space, shall we? So according to the dictionary, sacred space, let me put my sacred space is space, tangible or otherwise, that enables those who acknowledge and accept it to feel reverence and connection with the spiritual. Two things I want to point out with this. That enables those who acknowledge and accept it to feel reverence and connection with the spiritual. Right? As far as we can tell, from the moment that spiritual interactions began, sacred space was just not that far behind. It was a part of those spiritual interactions. They go hand in hand because that spiritual sacred space is a protective space for the spiritual practitioner. Nowadays, you really honestly don't have one without the other. Now, sacred space can be created, found, or achieved in many, many, many different ways, like I hinted at in the beginning. Anything from using your mind, your super Jedi powers right up here, all the way to physical places, and even some that we know of, right? There are many places that are considered sacred places. A couple of those would be, I don't know, Stonehenge, probably the first one a lot of you thought of. Mount Fuji, Ayers Rock, St. Petersburg, Jerusalem, the, what were they called? Oh, yes. The Black Hills in South Dakota, or Sedona. Those are just examples of very tangible, sacred places that you could go. Rome is another one. They've been around for a very, very long time. They've acquired quite a bit of spiritual energy. And when you go to these places, you can definitely feel it. There is a sacredness to these places. And these places would definitely be considered physical, almost even ritualistic sacred spaces. Most of these will. The ritual sacred spaces, these are classified as sacred space that will house some type of spiritual ritual, whether that be an actual high-end, high magic ritual, meditation, prayer, sermons, all of these types of things. Generally, sacred places, or the physical sacred places, will be big enough for lots of people to be able to be there. But besides those type of sacred places, you also have the ability to create personal sacred space. And this particular space can be used on the fly, so out and about, and is classified as space only around yourself or a small group, maybe 2 or 3 people. Usually this is used in healing sessions or when you need to surround yourself with that protective energy, to protect yourself from something. A good example here would be the Archangel Michael prayer, where you're asking for his assistance and you're wrapping yourself around with the protection that he gives. That's personal, sacred space. Right? So we've gone over a bit of actual big ritualistic sacred space, places, physical places. We've talked a little bit about the visualization and the inner sacred spaces, and we've talked about personal sacred spaces. How do we all do this? How the heck do we go about getting this all said and done? I want to create my sacred space right now. Well, hold your horses. Hold your horses. A couple things you're going to need first. First off, you're going to need yourself, but not just yourself that's just got enough work and all of the day's worries and woes are connected to you. Nah, we don't need that you. We need the calm, collected, cleansed you. So you can do that in a couple of different ways. You can get yourself ready by doing a ritual bath. If you enjoy baths, that's the nicest one. You can also do an incense smudge of some sort and clear yourself out that way. You could also do energized water or holy water. Another method that I also enjoyed when I was doing, when I was working with the coven that I worked with for a while, and I do this when I'm doing more high-end stuff that I've not done on this channel at all. But this is an oil anointment where you're opening your senses. So you would pick out an oil, an essence oil that you like. I use cinnamon because that's kind of how I was taught. And it really does wake you up when you put it on because it burns, right? You're awake. But what you do with the oil is you put it at certain spots on your body. So right here at the temples, okay? Third eye, right here. Not here in the middle of your forehead, right there. Tip of your nose, right here, like the really bad beard, the little cheek beard right there, right? And on your hands and on your feet. And the idea of the oil anointment is to awaken those senses for spiritual activity. So you can do a combination of all of those things to set yourself up. And if you have other ways of doing cleanses and clearing yourself and clearing your energetic body, then do those. Do those. But the idea is that you yourself are ready to go. You're clear. You're cleansed. You're not going to bring in the baggage of maybe you had to fire somebody that day because that's your job, that's part of your stuff, and it got you the wrong way and rubbed you the wrong way. You don't want that coming into your sacred space. No. Leave that at the door. Clear it out. Clear it out. Now, it's not just your physical body that needs to be cleared out. It's also the space itself. For physical sacred space, you actually have a physical space. So you need to clear it, clean it, and keep it nice and well maintained. So you're going to dust, you're going to mop, you're going to sweep, you're going to vacuum, you're going to rearrange, you're going to get all nice in there, and you're going to set things up and make it look pretty. That's what you're going to do for your actual physical space. And that's the mundane part of it. Getting it all cleaned up. But there's another part and another aspect of clearing your space. Because you need to also clear it energetically as well, right? Just like you did yourself, your space needs it too. So how do you do that? I can just see you all pondering. How do you do that? Well, in the relatively neo-pagan traditions, they use the Besom, also known as the witch's broom, to do this. Now, the item that you use doesn't necessarily have to be a broom, but the idea is that you're using the object to energetically clear your space. And the object that you're using is specifically for energetic use only. You can use the typical Besom, the typical broom. You can get all the way down to making a really special one if you wanted to. Or you can just find a regular basic broom and just dedicate it as this is what it's being used for. It can be a dust cloth. If you've got a small space, it's not a big thing, and you want to just have like a little dust cloth, well, that's your sacred Besom dust cloth then. And that's going to be how you energetically clean your space. It could be a designated little vacuum. You can designate that as a Besom, and that can be for spiritual cleansing only. So you go over with the regular vacuum, and then you energetically go over with your other one. That's all up to you. The idea behind all of it is that the Besom is an energetic tool to clear your space. Whatever you deem your Besom to be. And just remember, consecrate and dedicate that item or to do that. Don't misuse it, and don't use it for anything else. All right. I can't continue on without telling story. That's it. Just like in my training class, it's story time. So, back in the day, way back in the day, I ended up moving into my father's home with my stepmom. And initially, they were okay with me having my altar and stuff inside the home, just as long as I didn't burn candles, burn incense, or really do any practicing in that way. And I was fine with that. We could just do storage. It wasn't a big deal. I wasn't put off by it. But at a certain point, my stepmom just didn't want to have my stuff in the house. And it was her house, and I respected that. I said, okay, well, we can put my stuff in storage if that will make you feel better. So we went ahead and me and my dad packed up my stuff, and we went over to the storage unit. Now, on the way, I told my dad, Dad, I do need you to be just very careful I don't want you to mishandle or misuse any of the items because they are consecrated and protected. And I don't want you to treat them poorly. Well, he didn't believe me. Typical. He didn't believe me. So we got to the storage unit where we were going to house my items. And he ended up taking my besom. And he physically swept out the back of his van with it. I caught him doing this and went, "You should not have done that." And he looked at me and said, "Why?" I was like, "Because I told you that stuff is protected. Those are, to me, holy, sacred items, and you just misused it. There are protective spells on those items. I do not know what's going to happen now." Then he didn't believe me, chuckled, put the rest of the stuff into the storage unit, and we got into the van, started to head home. While on the freeway, we heard a clank, 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 and we started to smell exhaust in the van. He pulled over, and what had happened was the muffler was cut in half. It didn't fall off. It was cut in half. He told me that the muffler is cut in half. We're going to have to keep the windows rolled down so that we don't, asphyxiate, whatever, so that we can breathe. That's the word, so that we can breathe. And I just kind of looked at him, and I was like, cut in half, not by rust or anything else. And he's like, "No, it wasn't rusty or anything." It's like, "Okay, but it was straight in half." "Yeah, straight in half. Does that make sense to you?" And he didn't say anything because he just looked at me. And he's like, And I just shook my head and I was like, "Okay, let's go." And we drove back to the house. To this day, he still can't tell me how that muffler ended up the way that it did. But my intuition was screaming at me, saying, "He misused the besom." And that's all it was. So when you consecrate an item and you protect that item, take this story and remember that that's for spiritual use only. And make sure people that interact with that item know that. Because you just never know what might actually happen. Okay, story time over. Let's bring it back. So let's start talking about what you do after you have gotten yourself clear, you're ready, and now you've gotten your space clear and ready to actually put sacred space up. So this is physical sacred space. To create ritual sacred space, you have a few options at your disposal. There are many different traditions, many different ways to do it. And through you exploring your spirituality, you will find your path and traditions of how you're going to want to do this. But in a nutshell, this is what you're doing. You can do a simple quarter calling at the directions. Now, this option can include anything from just calling the directions to calling on any archetypes or deities or metaphysical beings that you're working with. You can create a physical circle with items. Usually you've got your salt circles, but you also can do stones, sticks, twigs, dirt, sand, you name it. If it can physically make a circle, you can use it. Okay? You can also create physical buildings. So here's where we're going to get into things where people are going to go, oh yes, churches, synagogues, mosques, temples. These are sacred spaces. All of those are sacred spaces. But if we're going into the physical buildings, then it can go down even to just a single room that you designate, as I have. I have my sacred space in my room, my work room is what I call it. You can also create that sacred space on the other side of the veil. And this takes visualization and practice. But it is always nice to have. You can create that sanctuary outside of the mundane world and in the spiritual, solely and wholly by itself. All right? Now, once you've decided how you want your space to be created, you will then gather all necessary materials. You're going to make sure your materials are cleansed and consecrated. Now, with ritual sacred space, what's the big thing all of the things that I just stated have in common? What's the big thing? Intent. Doesn't matter what type of sacred space it is. It's still sacred because it's your space, your intent, and your feelings. It's your spirituality and nobody else's. So have fun with it. Have fun with it. All right? Speaking of having fun with it, let me show you how I create my sacred space. We will be doing a demonstration on how I perform and create sacred space. The idea is to, as I'm performing, I am imagining energy coming out of my hand, or if I was to hold a dagger or a wand or a feather or anything like that, and having it come out and creating a protective circle around the space that I am creating so that I can be protected when I do my spiritual works. I do happen to do this in song, and it is definitely a longer song. So, here is how I open full sacred space. Circle round, walk upon this holy ground. Circle round, consecrate the sacred ground. In the east I greet the sun, winds are blowing gently. Come, I call upon the airs above, fill this space with light and love. Circle round, walk upon this holy ground. Circle round, consecrate the sacred ground. In the south the morning light, roses fire in the night. I call upon the flaming fire, bring your passion and desire. Circle round, walk upon this holy ground. Circle round, consecrate the sacred ground. In the west the setting sun, evening waters gently run. I call upon the ebb and flow, waters come your mystery show. Circle round, walk upon this holy ground. Circle round, consecrate the sacred ground. In the north, the dark of night, earth is hidden from the light. Sacred earth, your wisdom bring, knowledge keep her as I sing. Circle round, walk upon this holy ground. Circle round, consecrate the sacred ground. Look, ye master of wit and guile, always one to bring a smile. Come play and sing and song and dance as the sacred circle chants. Circle round, walk upon this holy ground. Circle round, consecrate the sacred ground. Bring the dead and sister dear, you whose presence quiets fear. Come maiden, mother, sister crone, keep the hearth and guard the home. Circle round, walk upon this holy ground. Circle round, consecrate the sacred ground. Welcome all, joyous singing in the hall. Keep the circle safe and sound as I walk the circle round. Circle round, walk upon this holy ground. Circle round, consecrate the sacred ground. Circle round, consecrate the sacred ground. All are present to be healed. The door is shut, the circle sealed. And that is how I perform opening of sacred space. This is, of course, when I am going to be doing some bigger works. I'm going to need the whole thing up, or any time that I am doing these videos, I always open this sacred space prior to performing anything that I really do. If I am in a pinch, I do something else. I will now demonstrate how I close my sacred space. Just as before, I will be walking a circle. Instead of drawing out the circle, I will be drawing the energy back in, lifting the circle. I will be doing it in song, and I will be doing it in reverse of how I started. So, here we go. Circle round, walk upon this holy ground. Circle round, now release the sacred ground. Bring the dead and sister dear, and humbly thank your presence here. Maiden, mother, sister crone, keep the hearth and guard the home. Circle round, walk upon this holy ground. Circle round, now release the sacred ground. Loki, master of wit and guile, always one to bring a smile. Thank you for the song and dance, humbly as the circle chants. Circle round, walk upon this holy ground. Circle round, now release the sacred ground. In the north, the dark of night, earth is hidden from the light. I humbly thank the sacred earth, a wisdom, knowledge keeper earth. Circle round, walk upon this holy ground. Circle round, now release the sacred ground. In the west, the setting sun, evening waters gently run. I humbly thank the flow unknown, waters all your mystery shown. Circle round, walk upon this holy ground. Circle round, now release the sacred ground. In the south, the morning light grows as fire in the night. I humbly thank the flaming fire for your passion and desire. Circle round, walk upon this holy ground. Circle round, now release the sacred ground. In the east I greet the sun, winds are leaving gently gone. I humbly thank the airs above, filled this circle filled with light and love. Circle round, walk upon this holy ground. Circle round, now release the sacred ground. Thank you all for the singing in the hall. Drop the circle safe and sound as I walk the circle round. Circle round, walk upon this holy ground. Circle round, now release the sacred ground. Circle round, now release the sacred ground. All those present have been healed. Doors are open, love revealed. And that is how I close sacred space. As we saw in the opening and in the closing, I would normally physically close the door to my workroom as part of the practice, but unfortunately that's where you all are standing, in my doorway. So instead of closing the door on you, I kept it open. You're very welcome. I hope this has been informative and maybe has given you some ideas as to what you might be able to accomplish and come up with for your very own sacred space.
See? Now I do the quarter callings because that's what I'm comfortable with. I call in the elements, I call in my deities, happens to be Brigid and Loki, and anybody else energetically I'm allowing to come in and saying that they are welcome. And thank them. And I do it in song because that's just how I roll, baby. That's what I like. It's fun. And it just is me. That's me. And here's another example of sacred space. This is another quarter calling type of sacred space, but it is from the Andean Pacos out in Peru. This practitioner goes out to Peru and learns from the Pacos, and this is how they taught them. So you're going to see this sacred space done via Quechua and English. There you go.
Hello, this is the demonstration of the opening of sacred space in the tradition of the Caro of Peru and the high mountains of the Andes. It uses the language of Quechua. Hampue, 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 anti suyo, hampue, hampue, kandorpa kalpan, chai sumak kalpai kita, chaskikus kai kiko, inti taita, sumak kanchai nikita, koiku waiku, son koikuta, kichari waiku, sumak kanchari nikiwan, hayaya, hayaya. Suyo, hampui, hampui, machakwaipa, kalpanta, koiku waiku, chai aipa patapi, sumakta, yacharichi waiku purita, sumakta, nikiwan, hayaya, hayaya. Kondi suyo, hampui, hampui, hatun chokachinchay, hatun yakchai nikita, koiku waiku. Ayinta, kawachi waiku, sumak kaipaikiwan, purichi waiku, hayaya, hayaya. Chincha suyo, hampui, hampui, come kente, hatun kente. Miski kita, riksarichi waiku, chai sumak tikachta. Son koikuta tikarichi waiku, hayaya, hayaya. Pachamama, hampui, hampui, pachamamita. Kai manya kuskai kuman, hatun kai pakita, koiku waiku. Chuchu sayana kupach, kang kushkamamita. Hayaya! Hayaya! Hampui, hampui, hampui. Hanapacha, hanapacha, hampui, hampui. Inti taita mama kiria, chaska koina, koirakuna, kakakuna, wira kocha. Kancha nikita, kancharichi waiku. Apukuno ausungate, salkentai, wamelipa. Kalpaikista samanchari waiku, hayaya, hayaya. Sonkakuna hampui, hampui, sumachta, richarisis, alinta, munana kunai kupach. Hayaya, hayaya. You just call in all four directions, the east, the south, the west, the north, the great earth mother, Pachamama, all of the sky beings in the Hanak Pacha, and we have opened our hearts. This is a demonstration of one way to close sacred space in the tradition of the Andes using the conch horn. And for this, we will start in the east. Antisuyo, antisuyo, antisuyo. Anyay, 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 anyan chaiki. Wapachoy sonkoi, tupanan chiskama. Hayaya, hayaya. Koya suyo. Anyay, anyay, anyay. Anyan chaiki. Repatriation koi. Tupanan chiskama. Hayaya.
Hayaya.
Konti suyo. Anyay, anyay, anyay. Anyan chaiki. Repatriation koi. Tupanan chiskama. Hayaya.
Hayaya.
Chincha suyo. Anyay, anyay, anyay. Anyan chaiki. Repatriation koi. Tupanan chiskama. Hayaya.
Hayaya.
Pachamama, Pachamamita, Santa Tierra Madres, Anyay, 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 Anyan Chaki, Repatriation Koi, Tupananchiskama, Hayaya.
Hayaya.
Ana Pacha, Inti Taita Mamakia, Chaskakuna, Koirakuna, Kakakuna, Wirakocha, Anyay, 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 Anyan Chaki, Repatriation Koi, Tupananchiskama, Hayaya.
Hayaya.
And we will leave our hearts open. Hayaya.
Hayaya.
This is a demonstration of the opening of sacred space in the style of the Andes of Peru and the people of the high mountains. There will be some Quechua words, which is their native language, and there will be mostly English words. For this demonstration of opening sacred space, we'll start in the direction of the south. We'll go to the west, to the north, to the east, to the earth, to the sky. To the winds of the south, Hampwe, 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 Sachamama, Yakamama, Amaru, come, great serpent, come, wrap your coils of light around our medicine space. Be with us this night. Be with us in our sacred space as you teach us how to shed our past as you shed your skin in one fell swoop. Hayaya! Hayaya! To the winds of the west, Otorongo, Jaguar, Mother Sister Jaguar, Chokachinchai, Hampwe, 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 come. Come walk around our medicine space, great Jaguar. You who've seen the birth and death of galaxies, guardian of the Rainbow Bridge. You who knows the ways of life and death. Come, be with us this night. Come, be with us in our sacred space. Hayaya!
Hayaya.
To the winds of the north, Siwarkente, Royal Hummingbird, Hatunkente, come. Hampwe, Hampwe, Hampwe. Come, little hummingbird, fly around our heads. Show us the way of the hero's journey. Show us what it is to drink directly from the nectar of life. And ancient ones, ancestors, come to our sacred space this night. Let us share in your ceremonies and your beauty and your knowledge and your wisdom of the ancient ways. Hayaya!
Hayaya.
To the winds of the east, Hatun Condor, great condor, Apuchin, great Anka, great eagle, come, Hampwe, 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 come to our medicine space this night. Fly high above us. Show us what it is to fly wingtip to wingtip once again with great spirit. Hayaya!
Hayaya.
Hampwe, 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 Pachamama, Pachamamitas, Santa Tierra Madres, Hampwe, 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 Great Earth Mother, come. Come be with us this night, encircle us with your arms, whisper sweetly in our ears the ways of the great Pachamama, the Great Earth Mother, Help us to step into ceremony with beauty, love, and light. Let us be with you and you with us always. Hayaya!
Hayaya!
Hampwe, 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 hanak pacha, hampwe, inti taita, mamakia, chaskakuna, koirakuna, kahakuna, wirakocha. Come be with us this night, come. Sprinkle us with stardust, bathe us in moon glow, warm us with sunshine. Come be with us, Great Spirit. You who oversee all that is, come to our medicine space this night. Hayaya!
Hayaya!
This will be a demonstration of closing sacred space in the style of the Andes and the people of the mountains. We'll be using some Quechua words and some English words. And this closing will start in the south. To the winds of the south, Sachamama, great serpent, Yakamama, Amaru, thank you. Thank you for being with us this night. Thank you for wrapping your coils of light around our medicine space. Thank you for teaching us how to shed our past as you shed your skin in one fell swoop. Tubananchiskama, Hayaya.
Hayaya!
Winds of the west, Ararango Jaguar, Mother Sister Jaguar, Chokachin Chai. Thank you, you who've seen the birth and death of galaxies, guardian of the Rainbow Bridge. Thank you for being in our medicine space this night. Thanking you for teaching us your ways of endings and beginnings. Tubananchiskama, Hayaya.
Hayaya!
Winds of the north, Sirakanti, Royal Hummingbird, and the ancestors, the ancient ones. Thank you for being with us this night. Thank you, little hummingbird, for flying around our heads, whispering in our ears your ways of the hero's journey, showing us how to drink directly from the nectar of life. And thank you, ancient ones and ancestors, for sharing with us your wisdom, your beauty, your love, and your light. Tubananchiskama, Hayaya.
Hayaya!
Winds of the east, Abuchin, great eagle, Hatun Kuntur, great condor. Thank you. Thank you for flying over our medicine space this night. Thank you for showing us what it is, once again, to be swept up, to fly wingtip to wingtip with great spirit. Tubananchiskama, Hayaya.
Hayaya!
Pachamama. Pachamamita, Great Earth Mother, and Santa Tierra Madre, spirits of the land. Thank you for being with us this night. Thank you for sharing with us your ways of beauty and love. Thank you for holding us sweetly in your tender arms, whispering in our ears the ways of giving and nurturing. Thank you, Great Earth Mother, for all that you do and for all that you give us. You are always in our hearts. Tupananchiskama, Hayaya.
Hayaya!
Hanak Pacha, great beings of the sky. Inti Taita, Father Sun, Mama Kia, Grandmother Moon, Atun Chaska, and Koyorkuna, the star brothers and sisters. Inti Taita, Mama Kia, Chaska Kuna, Koyorkuna, Kaha Kuna, Wirakocha, great sky Father, sky being, who looks down upon us all. Thank you for being with us this night, for warming us with sunshine, bathing us in moon globe, sprinkling us with stardust. Thank you for your beauty and your wisdom. Thank you for being with us. Tubananchiskama, Hayaya.
Hayaya!
I want to explain to you about prayers of the Quechua and the Karo people. These prayers are spoken as guidelines. They are not word-for-word rote prayers. Should you decide to open sacred space using this tradition, please feel free to speak from your heart and create your own beautiful words. Thank you.
Kind of interesting, right? In the end, It doesn't have to be a quarter calling, but it is what you want it to be. Look to your tradition and see what they do. Now, personal sacred space. This is a big one, and this is one that I feel is actually more important than the ritualistic physical sacred space. Now, to create personal sacred space, it is relatively easy, especially if you're really good at visualization. Right? You are essentially just creating an energetic barrier around yourself. Usually, you'll hear this as the bubble, the energetic bubble. But honestly, it really doesn't have to be a bubble. In fact, I do recommend non-bubble-esque sacred space. Maybe a sturdy bubble. Not soap bubbles. You can use things like visualize a grove of trees, caves, darkness, plate armor, titanium. There's a tempered glass that's really, really tough. A grove, mountain tops and peaks, all of these different things that can kind of encompass and surround you. And what you do, once you've figured out what you like to call in, what kind of rings true to you, what you do is you get into a state, and it starts here, right here from the heart. Okay? And you drop down energetically. And you can really focus, and you start to use your energy manipulation that you should be practicing every day. You imagine this and visualize it coming out. Slowly coming out, getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until it surrounds you. First couple times you do this technique, it's going to take a minute. It's not going to be quick because you kind of get used to it. Once you're used to it, though, you can snap that up real quick. You do it often, and it can almost be an instant block against things. Quite nice. Another way that you can do protected space is you can call on or do specific prayers. Calling on for the assistance of Archangel Michael and his prayer is a way of doing sacred space, personal sacred space. You're calling for the assistance to protect you and guide you, to make sure that no harm comes to you. Another way that you can do personal sacred space is you can do the opening of the Huaracocha, which is another Andean tradition way of protecting yourself. And the idea of this is you open your top chakra and you pull it down and drape it around yourself, or you do it around yourself, and maybe if you're doing a healing session, you would put it over them too. Right? And we actually have an example of doing the Huaracocha. Why don't you go ahead and watch this?
Now we're going to demonstrate the opening of a different kind of sacred space. This is a more personal kind of space. It's called the opening of the Huaracocha space. Huaracocha is the name of the creator god of the Andes. So we're creating a direct line through our energetic chakras into that space that creates a protective barrier around us. It's very simple. The Huaracocha space opening or doorway is in what some people call the 8th chakra, which is an energy center that resides right above the crown of your head. The 7th is the crown of your head. So we go into the 8th, okay? And how we do that is we bring our hands to prayer pose in the front. We take our hands up into that space until we can feel that ring of energy encircling our hands. Then we flip our hands so they're back to back, and we grab the edges of that energetic ring and we pull it down around us slowly and with intention in order to create a sacred area that we reside in. It goes down into the ground for approximately 3 feet below our feet. And now we're enclosed in what is known as the Viracocha sacred space. This opening can be done anywhere, anytime. It can be done in an office. It can be done in a school. It can be done if you're all by yourself or in a group of people. It can be done with the hand movements or with the intention and visualization of the hand movements, and it is done in silence. To close this sacred space, once you're finished with it, you reverse the action. You reach down into the ground, catch the edges of that energy that's 3 feet below you into the ground, and you pull it up around you, folding it up like a fan or the fan of a peacock, until you get it collected back up into that 8th chakra, at which point, personally, what I do is take that energy and pull it down through all my chakras like that, so that I am now grounded. And that is the opening and closing of the sacred Viracocha space.
Wasn't that fun? And it is relatively quick and simple. It is one that you can do very easily, and it's one of my favorites. One of my favorites. I don't care if people look at me weird. I'll throw it up if I need to. All in all, when it comes to your sacred space, it honestly depends on you, your traditions, and what feels right to you. Don't ever let anybody gatekeep your spirituality. Ever. If it feels right, if it calls to you, use it. What I expect from the group is for everybody to create your own sacred space. I want to hear in the comments what type of sacred space you do. How do you do it? What do you do? What tradition are you pulling from? All of that fun stuff. Let's create a conversation. And guess what? You can change your sacred space if you want to change it up. It's not that big of a deal because it's all intent-based. You're intending that space to be sacred, and that's all it is, and that's all it takes. So let's hear what the rest of you have to say down in the comments. What type of sacred space do you do? What is your process? Don't forget also that if you enjoyed this particular rendition of our Witchy Lesson Tuesday, to make sure you click that like button. If you haven't subscribed, you better subscribe. And share, of course. Also, you can contact me via my links below, my Twitter at RavelSpiritWork, my Facebook, my website, and Patreon, all under Ravel Spiritual Workings. And of course, my Etsy at RavelFeyMagicks, where if you are looking for ways to spruce up your sacred space, there are plenty of talismans and altar cloths currently on the shop for you to go and purchase. So, that all being said, remember, my lovelies, that you create your own happiness. This is RavelFey, signing out.